Welcome back to Newsmax Now. I'm John Bachman. We begin tonight with the latest on that controversial bombshell report in the New York Times about Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. Now, according to the Times, Rosenstein, the #2 official at the Justice Department, discussed wearing a wire to record conversations with President Trump. Rosenstein also reportedly discussed recruiting cabinet members to explore using the 25th Amendment to remove Donald Trump from office. Rosenstein's conversation with DOJ and FBI officials came after the May 2017 firing of FBI Director James Comey. The Times says the allegations stem from memos written by FBI officials, including former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. Rosenstein slammed the story as inaccurate and incorrect, saying, quote, "I will not further comment on a story based on anonymous sources who are obviously biased against the department and are advancing their own personal agenda. But let me be clear about this. Based on my personal dealings with the president, there is no basis to invoke the 25th Amendment." Joining me now to discuss this is former federal prosecutor and founder of Freedom Watch, Larry Klayman. Larry, as always, it's great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Very sad day.
Yeah, it's a busy Friday, to say the least. Larry, the New York Times story cites several anonymous sources who were briefed on these conversations between Rosenstein and other officials. They say he was serious about the idea of wearing a wire. Rosenstein denies those allegations. There's also some context from the Washington Post, also has a story up about this. They say the information comes, as we mentioned, from those memos that originated with Andrew McCabe, who has, of course, been fired from the FBI. Now, according to the Washington Post, the wire comment came in response to McCabe's own pushing for the Justice Department to open an investigation into the president. To that, Rosenstein responded with what this person described as a sarcastic comment along the lines of, "What do you want me to do, Andy? Wire the president?" Of course, Rosenstein was the guy who oversees the Mueller-Russia investigation. Do you think it was a sarcastic comment, Larry, or was he really talking about, wiretapping the president?
John, there's another source in that New York Times story that says it wasn't sarcastic, that he was serious. I believe it. I mean, we know that this has happened. This is the deep state. Rosenstein is a product of President Obama. He was U.S. Attorney in Maryland, appointed by him. He has taken a variety of actions, including signing that illegal Steele FISA warrant. He has rubber-stamped everything that Robert Mueller has wanted in his investigation. So this comes as no surprise. But the good news is, out of this bad news, is now the president has uncontroverted cover to fire Rosenstein. I suggest he do it by the end of the day. And if that doesn't happen, then Congress should impeach him quickly before we have a Democrat-controlled House of Representatives. You can't have this in a democracy. This is right out of a Tom Clancy novel or a John Grisham novel. This is a runaway Justice Department that is behaving as if it's the mafia, and Rosenstein's at the head of it. I'm afraid that Rosenstein has turned into Frankenstein.
Well, as far as I understand, President Trump is traveling right now. The White House hasn't responded. How should the president respond?
Should fire him on the spot. If the New York Times is reporting this, because this is not in the best interest of the left to get rid of Rosenstein. He's given them everything they want. Sitting on top of that is a very pliant attorney general who's afraid of his shadow, who himself is under investigation. If the Times is reporting this, it's probably true. And in any event, there were corroborating sources here that said that Rosenstein did this. It's not just wiring yourself to spy on the president and to entrap the president. You're suggesting that you have the authority to use the 25th Amendment, that the president's mentally incompetent, to remove him. Who are you, Rod Rosenstein? Just some little punk at the Justice Department who's been there for 25 years? You're not at the level of the president of the United States, nor do you speak for the American people.
There's some similarities between what we're hearing about here and what was in that New York Times anonymous op-ed. It looks like, you could almost point the finger at Rosenstein or even Andy McCabe for writing that New York Times anonymous op-ed.
You're right. And you see, that's it. There's no honor among thieves, John. Okay. They make mistakes. They turn themselves in. You got to ask yourself the question, how is Andrew McCabe, the acting director of the FBI for a period of time, when he's writing memos, incriminating memos of himself and Rosenstein that are as stupid as this? Are these the people you want running the FBI? If you're a criminal, at least have enough brains to cover it up. But these people couldn't even do it. They're being caught red-handed.
All right, Larry, thanks for your take as always. Appreciate you starting your weekend a few minutes late for us to be on the program live this evening. We'll have you back real soon.